just got the questions, digging so sharp, peeling back layers, hitting the heart.
How you doing, man?
Good. Yeah. Sorry if it looks like I'm looking down, because I usually have a monitor up here, but
It's all right.
my cat knocked it off and broke it. So.
Well, that's what cats do.
Right? Yeah. You have cats, right? You have a couple black cats.
I love cats. Cats. I don't mind it. Like my cat knocks something over, I usually don't mind it. I'm like, that's my cat. Anybody else knocks it over, I'll hunt you down.
Yeah. How do you handle that on the road? Do you have cats at home, and then, or do you bring them on the road, or do you not own?
No. My lady is at home with our one inside cat, and we have one inside cat, and we have two outside feral cats that we take care of and feed, along with many other local animals that just come by our house for food, and raccoons and possums. That's crazy. I live in Burbank, California, and I've seen more wildlife there than I have in North Carolina, where I spent a good part of my early life.
I was gonna say, yeah, because I thought you moved to LA. I was like, this is in LA.
No, man, it's crazy. As soon as the sun goes down, it's just like, it's crazy. Raccoons, possums, everything.
Because it's by that like hill or the Palisades, the mountains or whatever. And
yeah. So it's interesting. We got wild parrots. It's quite the nature show in my backyard. I love it. I'm excited to get back this weekend.
Parrots? How that?
Wild parrots from Rome, Burbank, just like the ones you see in the movies. The green ones. The your standard parrot is they're there now.
Did somebody must have brought those from somewhere and then they escaped. We have a similar thing in Arizona. I think somebody brought some tropical birds, and there's some park you can go to and they're just there because somebody brought them.
Yes. Somebody, I looked it up. They basically came there a while ago, and they just started started doing their thing, and now they're everywhere.
Yeah. So you must see all sorts of crazy shit just traveling through the country too on the road. I mean, I saw that video yesterday where there was a goose that you guys were having an encounter with that was protecting babies.
It continued again this morning.
Really?
We basically just parked our bus. We had a day off yesterday, and our driver was sleeping, so our bus was parked, and a duck was protecting its. And the mom, I guess, is having babies, and in this parking lot of all places, and anything that got within 20 feet of it, it would just charge it, and it was an interesting day off.
Yeah, I think they're having a problem with that over in the Midwest. Was that in Michigan or Illinois?
Illinois.
Okay, yeah, because I read some article today that said they're rounding up all these extra geese, and they're going to gas them in Michigan.
I did not know. I need to watch the news.
There was like a weird news story that I was like, "What? That's crazy." So I don't know.
Now I believe it. Believe the hype, folks.
That would be a cool song. There's probably like a song there or something. That's like
there is. There is.
Yeah,
I have a song. I have an old song on my Transylvania record where I say, "Knots in the noose, baby duck, duck, goose." And tonight, when we play that live, it's going to have a new meaning.
Yeah. How do you come up with these songs? Is it just? I mean, I know you're a big horror fan. Obviously, I know you're a hair metal fan. So, and you have your influences, but how does it just come to you naturally, or do you have to kind of sit down and force yourself to be inspired sometimes?
I don't force it. Anything forced sucks for me. And if I know I forced it, I don't. I know it's for it. It's got to be natural, just off. It's just got to flow. And usually, when anything like that happens, it makes me laugh. And this record's a perfect example of just it flowing naturally and me going, "Oh, that's it, I got it," and I was able to nail it on each song on this record. I feel like.
Did you have any co-writers? Because I know you said something about parting ways with your longtime guitarist. So did you work with the new guitarist, or do you mostly write by yourself?
I wrote the entire record by myself, just because I wanted to do it that way. Not and it wasn't an ego thing. It was literally I just wanted to go back to the beginning of my career. This is my 10th album, 20 years of doing. That's my first album. And I wanted to go back to what was the ingredients on that first album. It was me in a basement by myself with my own thoughts. And I didn't have any ideas to bounce it off. I had no members. There was no Wednesday 13 band. It was me. And I wanted to prove to myself 20 years later, I could do that again. And being that my guitarist had left the band, I was like, all right, well, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. And I'll prove it to myself. And then I ended up playing guitar on the entire record as well. So yeah, I wrote all the music. And once I had the music together, then I brought it to my band. And then we arranged everything and went in the studio. So my band's a very big part of this recording and everything. The initial idea was started with me by myself.
That's amazing. How long does it take you to typically write a song? Because you always hear these stories, like some of the biggest hits are like, oh, we wrote that song in 5 minutes. It was the first song we thought of.
All these are the 5-minute songs. Most of them. I mean, with the exception of one or two, if anything is any longer, it's a 10-minute song. Like it's really was not a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't spend days and days and days working on something. Now, if I have a riff or something that may be around for a bit and it eventually turns into something, but for the most part, I wrote all these songs in one setting. Like a couple of these songs, like the No Apology song, that was a song that just came out of the blue. The band guys were coming over to the house to work on the other songs I'd already written, and I made that up waiting for them to show up. And I'm like, oh, we're going to do this one today. And the same thing with the In Misery song. I was waiting for the band guys to come over, and I wrote that in the middle of them driving over. And I'm like, oh, well, now we're going to work on this one. So this stuff came pretty fast. The music did. I worked on the lyrics. I didn't write all the lyrics completely. I'll get an idea or a melody, but the lyrics are finalized usually later on. The music and all the melody and stuff's kind of is all there first.
Interesting. Yeah. So you mentioned In Misery. That's a good one. I was curious about the lyrics of that one. Like, what is that? It's like, you bring out the worst in me. I'm in misery. So completely in misery with you. Is that about a person or a thing?
I mean, well, it's not necessarily, there's so many love songs. And if you take the lyrics of In Misery and reverse them, it's a love song. You bring out the best in me. With you, I know I will achieve. My song is You Bring Out the Worst in Me. With you, I know I'll never achieve. It's just a negative song. It's like I was like, this is my anti-love song, but yet it somehow sounds like a ballad for my music. So that's all it is. It's just someone, that's and there are couples like that. There are people that are horrible for each other, and they stay together and they're miserable together, and they know it and they love it. And so it's an observation, but it's literally just an opposites reversed kind of song. It's my anti-love song.
Yeah, I love that one. I love the some of these songs, like When the Devil Commands. I mean, that one is just, I could just hear myself singing that along at a concert. Is that going to be one you're performing live already?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fourth song on the set on this tour, and I knew it. I mean, I knew that song was going to deliver live. I imagined it. I imagined when I
Yeah.
wrote that song, I put myself on the other side of the stage in the audience and go, what would the audience do with this? And they're going to do exactly what that chorus says. And every night I set that song up and the crowd sings the entire chorus. And we even added what we call the Quiet Riot, Come On Feel the Noise breakdown. So an extra Hail Satan 666 is added into the live version of that song.
That is funny. Yeah. Cause I was like, oh man, I don't know. I'm singing along in my car. I can't imagine that the show, that's got to be really fun.
Yeah. And then when you go, oh, it's really catchy. It's really fun. And that's for my kind of audience. But when you take the average person or someone like my mom, and she heard something like that, she would be repulsed. Oh my God, they're singing Hail Satan. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
well, I
pushes
mean,
all the buttons.
right. Is that, I mean, is it a thing anymore? Cause I know when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, like that was a thing. Like people were burning Ozzy Osbourne records and stuff. That was a big thing. Like, no, you can't talk about Satan. And now I feel like the line has been crossed so many times. Like, no, does anyone even?
Well, you would be surprised. I was like you. I thought nobody cares anymore, and I wrote that song. That song is in a fun, tongue-in-cheek way. I literally wrote that song because my mom was so afraid in the '80s that I was going to be possessed by this rock music that I listened to. She she was repulsed by the Exorcist movie. It horrified her, and she thought that was going to happen to me through rock music. So I wrote this song as if I could go back in time and plant a Wednesday 13 album in my collection, and my mom would discover it and open it up. And if I could have had, just like Ralphie on Christmas Story, when he put the Red Ryder BB gun ad just placed for his mom to see, that's where Devil Command lyrics would be. And she would read it and be, oh my God. She wouldn't have to guess because the lyrics say exactly what, because the lyrics she would read through my stuff, she would had to guess, oh, are they saying something about Satan there? It was all guess, but like, this is something that's spelled right out. So it was an ode to my mom back in the 80s, kind of fun, in a fun way.
Yeah. Do you try to lean into that sometimes with like controversy and stuff? Because obviously, like, Marilyn Manson, some of these guys, they really try to like push the boundaries. Do you try to lean into that, or you just want to do?
I mean, I used to. That was the whole point. Shock rock, shock some people, do something. With me, my shock value was the word fuck. I use it in all my songs. My most popular song is "I Love to Say Fuck." That was my shock value, because when I wrote that song and I started playing that song back in the day in bars in North Carolina, I couldn't get anybody's attention on stage in these bars, and when we would play that song, everybody in the venue would turn around and go, "Are they saying that? That's catchy. I love it. I love to say fuck." So, but and Alice Cooper, I opened up for him for the first time, and his audience did not like me at first. And when I played "I Love to Say Fuck," his audience was comprised of older people and young kids, and they were putting the older kids, parents were putting their hands over their kids' ears when we were playing the song, and Alice loved it. He was like, he told me, he goes, he goes, "I cut my head off on stage and get a reaction." He goes, "And you just got the same reaction by doing that."
That is funny to think about. Yeah, because like for me, I'm just like, it takes a lot. I mean, you toured with you guys toured with Cradle of Filth at one point, right? And I had Danny Filth on the show. Like, I mean, he did something where what was he doing? He was in the Vatican, and I think he wore some shirt where it was like a nun getting her head chopped. It was something crazy. I can't remember exactly the details.
Probably. Now, I don't go out looking for trouble. I do this at my show, my records. I can do what I want on that. But as far as pushing the envelope, I'm finding now that my audience is the teenagers have discovered Wednesday 13 and Murderdolls now. My front three rows are teenagers.
Yeah.
So I do VIPs every day. I meet these young fans, and they're telling me, I got in trouble for listening to your music when the Devil Command scared my parents. I got in trouble for writing this, in my class. So writing this on my notebook. I wrote "God is a lie" on my notebook. And they're like, so it still works. So I didn't think it did till I met my younger fans, but those lyrics, I've always wrote lyrics to scare people's parents, and I'm glad that it's still doing it.
Yeah. I mean, because I feel like you almost have to have some sort of shock value or controversy these days to get. I mean, Motley Crue, I feel like, was the king of that stuff. Like, they always stirred up the press and everything to get controversy. They were really good at that.
They were my biggest influence. They taught me, they put me on the path of doing this. I learned from the best.
Yeah. Did you ever have encounters with them, or you ever meet Sixx?
Nikki's a friend and a fan of Murderdolls and Wednesday 13. He interviewed Murderdolls back on our comeback. He did one of the very first interviews with Joey and I, and he's been a longtime supporter. When he was doing Brides of Destruction, he was very much influenced by Murderdolls, which is just crazy. And he was helpful in getting me sober back in the day when I first realized I had a problem. And so Nikki's been a influence on me in many ways, and I owe him a lot.
That's crazy to think of, like, how much of a 180 he's done. Like that image was all partying and drugs.
I was telling someone the other day, I can't remember where we were at a venue, and someone started bashing on Nikki Sixx in a fun way, going, because Nikki Sixx takes the bashing of him not being a technical bass player. And I brought up the argument. I said, "Well, name another bass player that's been as influential as Nikki Sixx, but not being musical. Like, how many people do I see at a concert every time I travel the world? There's a Nikki Sixx in every single town, at least two or three looking dudes that have his hair, have the piece. They play bass in a local band, and they pretend to be Nikki Sixx, and they work, and they got the hottest girls in every town around the world. That guy wins. He wins. He's laughing all the way to the bank, and he's a good bassist, and he's a great songwriter. And that guy, he gets a bad rap, but he's made some of the music of my memories. So my hat's off to Nikki Sixx.
Oh yeah, same. He's definitely a bucket list guest for me. So do you think that like because I think the controversy now is they're saying he wasn't playing the bass at the shows. It was taped or something. Not that he couldn't play it, but maybe it's just because they were moving around so much. Or like, I mean, do you think there's any truth to that?
I don't know. I don't really even care. That guy is, like I said, he's been such a big impact on my life. And the way people perform now, I'm finding that we're kind of the odd men out. We still do it the classic way. Most bands, newer, even the older ones, are following a pattern of just doing a lot of things that aren't. It's not classic anymore. It's just a lot of people play to tracks, and the music's becoming a little unhuman. And I think the music sounds great with what they're doing, but it's just, to me, it just loses some of that heart and soul that's in what I grew up on.
Yeah, you need the mistakes for it to sound different. And a lot of times too, I like when you go to a concert, and I remember like seeing Metallica back in Seattle back in the 90s, and it was like heavier, it was faster than the records, and that made it cooler.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not bashing on new music. I'm just saying what sounds right for me. What I do is what I like. I sound the way I want music to sound to my ears. That's what I do. But I think music is coming to such a bottleneck that it's going to be too perfect, that everything's going to get simplified again, and punk will become, or the idea of what behind punk and just being simple, where you can go into a room and play music and write music the way it was back in the day. I think that'll become a new thing again, even though it's not new, but it'll be new to the kids.
You think so? Yeah, it seems like it's hard to stand out. Like people say, back in the day you had to get a record label. Now anybody can make a record and it can sound good, but it's like
Yep.
hard to like, how do you stand out? I mean, this new
I don't.
record is great. I mean, obviously you're doing press for it, so hopefully,
Mhm.
that helps, but is there any other way to really stand out other than
It's
just making a good record?
I don't know. I mean, staying on tour and proving that you can play the music. For me, I always try to deliver a solid record, and then I want to, improve on that live and deliver it and make it feel even better. And so for me, the live experience with my band is something I think people need to see to truly appreciate it, because we really bring these songs to life live, and I think we play them better than the records sometimes, or at least as good as the albums.
Yeah,
And
that
and, and,
sounds.
and we strive to do that. It's important to us to play this, and we do it ourselves. We're not, there is no tracks or anything. We have we have an intro, we have segues, but our bands, our vocals, everything is all live and real.
Yeah. Would you ever because you mostly do headlining shows, do you, or have you done like a package tour with like, two or three other bands, big name bands, not just openers?
Oh yeah, we do a lot of those too. I mean, I'm currently on my headline tour, but we have tours where we play with Cradle of Filth. We're one of four bands or something like that, and so yeah, we tend to do those things in certain areas and stuff, and it's good to do that too for us too, to go out and play in front of different audiences.
Yeah. Well, I think one way to uh get people to listen to you that maybe hadn't originally weren't fans or whatever, but now they'll discover you is to have these collaborations. Like you've got Tammy Down on
Yeah,
the song No Apologies.
exactly.
So if maybe some Faster Pussycat fans will discover you now.
Absolutely, that's a whole other audience that came over with Tammy's audience, and I knew that would happen, and I've have some other people on my radar already. I think people know, but I think this reminded them that I still do it, and yeah, and having someone like Tammy, I have another collaboration that's coming out later in the year, or maybe this time next year. I'm not sure whenever it's coming out, with some other people, and just a lot of different stuff. I'm looking at different opportunities, just to branch beyond my fan base I've already established. I'm always looking for that guy in the back of the room that's got his arm crossed, that's convinced he doesn't like me, but doesn't secretly know I'm his favorite band.
Yeah. What about because I know you've done a little bit of acting. Do you feel like that helps get your name out there and get people to discover your music by putting yourself in movies?
I haven't did any acting. I did the soundtrack stuff. But I do a weekly podcast. It's pretty popular with my friend Jason. And that's opened up a whole other world of people at my concerts too. Like I said, the teenagers have discovered me. Someone ran an article on me the other day in Blabbermouth, something I said, when said that some guy was saying Murderdolls was his favorite band, and he doesn't feel we didn't get the recognition we deserved. And I made the comment, well, maybe it's not here yet. Maybe people haven't really discovered the band, because when I see all these young kids that are hearing Murderdolls for the first time 6 months ago or a year ago, if that quadrupled, who knows? Murderdolls could be bigger than it ever was, and it's not even a thing anymore. It happened with all the other bands, Sex Pistols, Ramones. All these bands are almost bigger than they ever were in the beginning, just because of their legacy. So who knows? Time does crazy things, and so I think that band is appreciated, but it could still have its day in the sun to come.
Yeah, just do you think you're overlooked as a front man? I mean, because you've got the stage presence, the look, the cult following, the music. I mean, do you think that some people are just not seeing it?
I don't know. I don't question I mean, I guess I could sit around and go, oh, why am I not Metallica level? Why am I not? But to some people, I am. I am their Metallica. I am their Guns N' Roses, and I'm okay with that. I'm able to tour the world pretty comfortably. I make a living off this. I don't go home and pull my hair back and work another job. And this is what I do. I do this, and I've did this for 23 years now. And if this is as good as it gets, I'm okay with it. I'm living my dream. And you know, 20 years into my career, and I still got doors opening and huge stuff on the horizon. My record I scored with my fans love this record. They fucking love it. And I'm excited. I'm rejuvenated. It's who would have thought? And I'm turning 50 next year. This is it's a good time to be me right now.
Yeah. What do you think the secret is to that success and continuation? Is just I mean, obviously, I know you're sober, so that's got to be a piece of it
Yeah,
that's not getting in the way and clouding things.
yeah. The party lifestyle, I loved it. I did it, and I did it really good. Um, really, really good. But it wouldn't work the way I function now. So I don't do that anymore. But someone asked me the other day. They said, "What motivates you?" And I think, with me saying that I'm comfortable where I am, I never made it to Metallica level in my mind. So I'm always still trying to get somewhere between where I am now and Metallica level in my mind. And I think that makes me want to keep doing it. And I keep doing it harder, and I want to get there. So um, I thought I would get there in my 20s, maybe my 30s. And here I am still reaching for it, going into my 50s. And I still got the fire. And it's okay. Who knows, man? Maybe I'll get my hit song with the rest of the world in my 50s, you know?
That's great. Yeah. It's weird to think about that stuff. Like you look at Dave Mustaine, who was in Metallica, and then he got, he left or whatever. And it seems like he still thinks that he needs to be bigger. And it's like Megadeth is huge. And it's like,
I
it's
know,
he's
but
not happy.
I understand that now about Dave Mustaine. I
Really?
used to think the same way and go, well, how did he? But it's always going to make him want to be better. And I think that's why he's kept the edge over Metallica.
Oh, you think he is have the edge?
I don't want to say that, but from my years, I dig Megadeth's riffs. I like their. I feel like Metallica is doing what I'm doing now. They're kind of chasing nostalgia sometimes and want to go play older riffs, and that's awesome. Whereas Megadeth is still exploring and still coming up with stuff that's dude. When they did Symphony of Destruction and
Oh,
the Countdown to Extinction record, they were
yeah.
changing the game, musically. So, but for my ears, I dig Megadeth, and I like Dave Mustaine's voice. It's very Alice Cooper. I want to say I heard an interview where Dave Mustaine said he imitated Alice Cooper, and it sounds like it to me.
Hmm.
I get compared to Dave Mustaine sometimes by people. They go, "Oh, they never heard of me." Wednesday 13 sounds like Megadeth singing over ghost music.
That's an interesting.
That's what someone said about one of my songs, the Decompose, I think.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's interesting you say Countdown to Extinction because that was one of my favorite records when I was a kid. I would actually, I would put in terms of the entire record, I would say that's better than the Metallica Black album, in my opinion.
Well, think about I say this about Megadeth. That's why I lean toward Megadeth. Uh, the song Symphony of Destruction. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I always love that riff. Uh, Dead in Hollywood by Murderdolls. Da 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 da. I was I was trying to do something like Megadeth. It's me trying to do Megadeth in my own way. And that's my little nod to Megadeth. And then I found out later that John Carpenter, the Halloween theme, the da 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 thing, is him trying to do the Exorcist tubular bells sound in that
I never knew that.
same spirit.
Wow.
So that's why I picked Megadeth, because riff wise they fit in my world, and that Dead in Hollywood riff is a little nod to that. I mean, when I met Joey, he goes, "Man, that riff's cool." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of Megadeth, right?"
Yeah. Isn't that funny how like it's almost it's okay to everybody rips off everybody, right? Everything is influenced from something. And
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. You
I
know,
think that's what's so cool about, and then you're reinventing it. And that's what when I listen to this new record, that's what because I'm a hair metal fan and I hear like a lot of your influences. It sounds almost, there's a lot of songs that sound similar vein to Skid Row, Slave to the Grind. Like it's got that
yeah.
metal and punk, like kind of, and fast energy, kind of like sleazy vibe. I love it.
Thank you. And that's what I went back to what I think I do the best, and this is what I do the best. That's Skid Row sound. That's my roots. That's what I started off doing. That's what I wanted to sound like. I sound this way because I tried to sound like Sebastian Bach. I loved Alice Cooper and I loved Skid Row. And listen to my voice. I am a mix of Alice Cooper and Sebastian Bach. That is what I dreamed it, and I somehow sound this way. And this record reflects my roots. I went back. There's a nod to Skid Row on the record. I say, "Oh, say can you scream" on one song, which is a nod to their VHS they put out back in the day. And every one of my records, there's an Alice Cooper snarl on there. I do it on at least two or three songs. What I got to do an Alice on that song.
Hmm. Yeah, Skid Row. It's an interesting situation now because they don't have a singer. Have they reached out to you? Would you take that job?
I'm good friends with Rob, the drummer of Skid Row. He was in my side project, Gunfire 76, and he and I have talked before. He knows I'm a huge fan. Um, I think back in the day, drunkenly, I was like, "I'll go try out for Skid Row." Uh, I know I can make my way through a portion of those songs, but to do them justice, Sebastian Bach set the bar as high as anyone could ever do and ever will do. I wish that band the best of luck. I think they will find someone that'll balance it out. But I mean, replacing Sebastian Bach and what that sound is to people that grew up on it, it's irreplaceable almost. It's an unfortunate thing for them. And they had a good guy with Eric. Eric was a good vocalist. That was the closest I think they've came to Alice to Sebastian Snarl. or his, but yeah, Sebastian's the best, man. That guy was at one point, and when back in the day, he was David Lee Roth level, Elvis Presley level rock star.
Yeah, no, he was my favorite. That's like when I first started getting into music. He's the one that got me into rock. I just thought he was and he could
Me
hit those
too.
notes. It was insane.
Me too. My girlfriend was obsessed with him, and I went, I wish she liked me like him. So
Right?
I tried. And that's no
Yeah.
joke, man. Like he and Tammy Down and Alice Cooper, all those guys are such influences on my sound and look and everything. Not just musically. That was like I had to become that.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned the videos. Like I loved Oh Say Can You Scream and Roadkill. Like, did you just watch those? And I just like wanted to hang out with them. I was like, dude, these guys look like they're having so much fun. Like I want to hang out with them.
Yeah,
It's like a fun thing to do.
they taught me how to do this. I basically went on tour and reenacted those videos with my band, and I'm still doing it today. I'm doing it. It's exactly that. My old friend Rayen, who was on my first album and my Burbank Crow
Oh, I
project.
love him.
We
Yeah.
we,
He's been
we
on my
all
podcast.
yeah, we always talk about uh you go, oh man, we're gonna do an old say can you scream type video, or we always refer to, oh, have you seen this movie? Oh, it's like a old say can you, we just refer to that because that's our reference of just a good time, and I love that stuff.
Yeah. He's your buddy that you did Bourbon Crow with, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
was
he's
telling
still
me,
he's my longtime friend. He still lives in South Carolina, and yeah, he's Ray and I are like brothers.
yeah, he was telling me a story that like when you guys played with Alice Cooper, that Alice brought you guys back on stage to sing which it was one of the big hits.
Yeah, on his
School's
encore,
Out,
we
I
played
think.
with, we played on Halloween night with Alice, and I think he ended the show with "School's Out" or whatever his final song was. And Alice doesn't really talk, but he introduced us and brought us out on stage. And I was good friends with his band, and I remember like David Johnson picked me up and is holding me like in the Ozzy Randy kind of pose. And there's a picture we have somewhere of that. It was just a cool moment. It was a victory moment for Rayen and I because that guy was our childhood hero, and he just caught us out on stage, and we just finished a tour with him. It was I've had an interesting, crazy ride.
No. Yeah, for sure. Is there what other moments did you look back on or like, wow, that was a crazy, like
I mean,
monumental
I
thing?
mean when you put it in, people like when I say like people in that situation, like people like Alice Cooper. I mean, I've been in the situation with Guns N' Roses. Axl Rose taking Murderdolls on tour for in Europe, and wanting to hang out and party with us, and hanging out with him backstage, and just crazy stuff. I remember Metallica. I was speaking to them earlier. I remember being at the Download Festival, and I got really drunk and got lost. I couldn't find the tour bus, and there was 200 tour buses backstage, and it was dark and it was raining, and all I could see was headlights, and there was no cell phones, and I'm lost. I'm literally walking in the mud. I'm late for bus call. I don't even know how to get in touch with anybody. And a van pulls up beside of me, and the door opens, and a big cloud of smoke comes out. And Lars Ulrich pops his head out and goes, "Hey, you play with Joey. Where is he?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm trying to find him." And they said, "Come in with me." And I hop in a van, and I'm in a van with Metallica, and they're looking for Joey Jordison. And they found my tour bus, and I walk on the bus first, and everyone's pissed because I'm an hour late for our bus call because we have to get to the next show. And I walk in, and Joey's like, "Where the fuck, Bob?" And as soon as I walk in, Lars Ulrich walks in behind me, and Joey's like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm sorry I'm late, but I brought Metallica." And then we stayed another 3 hours, and almost missed the show completely because they partied. So those are the crazy stories that I've accumulated in my career. There's many stories like that.
That's fucking crazy. So wait, so Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Nikki Sixx, you mentioned. So did you ever? You said you're friends with Rob, the drummer of Skid Row. What
Yeah,
about Sebastian? Did you ever meet him or?
I've met Sebastian a couple times. We have a lot of mutual friends, but I don't know Sebastian well enough to have any crazy party stories. I think we're both kind of past those days. But if we would have ever crossed paths maybe 10, 15 years ago, oh my God, we could have done some damage. I know it. It'd have been
Yeah.
a crazy story. But I've met most of my heroes, and most of my heroes know who I am by name. It's a crazy thing. Like I really have achieved my dream, and my heroes. They know that I wear my influences on my sleeve.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you think, I mean, do you think it's you continue to do it too? Like, do you think it's just all this hard work and just keep churning out and just keep making records and keep on touring? Is that a big piece of it? Because some people
Yeah.
have flash and then they disappear.
I don't know anything else to do. I like when this tour is over with, because I've been out for a long time. I'm gonna enjoy going home for a month, but by the end of this month, I'm gonna be ready to go out again. I know it. I know it. It's just I'm like that. I like recording. I like putting new music out. This keeps me busy, and it doesn't feel like work to me. Even though I do work hard on it, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like work because I enjoy it. But um, I don't know, man. I'm in a good place right now, and I've really delivered a strong record. Like my fans are just they're hyped about it. Like they like the singles, but they like everything else better.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you joined Murderdolls, like would you say that's like your big break? Like you kind of
Oh
made
yeah,
it at that point. You're in a band with Joey Jordison, and then it's just you've continued it on. But so to get to
yeah,
that point, because Joey sought you out because he liked your other band, right? Like so you
right.
build that band up first, right? How long did it take you to go from when you start music to when you get that call from Joey? How many? I
Uh,
forget how many years that was.
Joey called me when I was 25, and I started playing music when I was 15.
So
We
10 years.
started So 10 years of me starting to play my first show, recording my first demos, and then my band Frankenstein Drag Queens recorded 4 albums starting at when I was 19 years old, and we recorded the very last one right. I just finished recording it right when Joey called me, and yeah, I spent 10 years uh, trying to learn how to do this, and kind of I was holding the Wednesday 13 name since like 1995, and I that's where I was at that point. So yeah, it took me about 10 years to get my big break.
Did you ever think in that 10-year period, did you ever get disillusioned and think of giving up or just quitting? And I mean, did you have those thoughts
Yeah,
at least?
yeah, definitely. I thought right before I got out of high school, I got in Rip magazine, and I got in Circus magazine, and the rock on the up and coming bands, and I was convinced as soon as I got out of school, here's a tour bus, record deal, boom, it's going to happen. Well, it didn't happen at all, and I had to get a job, and it sucked, and I hated it so much that fired me. I was like, man, I got to get out of here. I'm gonna just so I just really focused on my band, and kept building that, and that got the attention of Joey Jordison. And then he had a record deal, and he had his name already in the, with Slipknot. So it was a easy invitation to say yes, just because I had, been struggling all those years, and he was my ticket out of there.
Wow, that's so amazing. It's just so inspiring. I love hearing stories like that because like it inspires me to keep going. Because when I as a podcaster, like I fuck up all the time and have bad
Yeah.
interviews, and then you're just like, God, maybe I should just fucking quit. And then you hear stories like this of people that it's like you just kept going.
And the same thing when Murderdolls came to an end, when Joey went back to Slipknot, everybody that was in the band, Ben, Eric, AC, me, we all were faced with the harsh reality of this is over with for a while. What do you do now? And what I was doing before that was a regular job. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going back to that. So I went in my basement and wrote Transylvania 90210. That's what I did. And I wrote all those songs pretty quick. And I was already signed to Roadrunner. And I went to them and said, hey, will you put this out? And they said, no. I went, okay, I'll find someone else to put it out. And miraculously, someone hit me up said they want to release a Wednesday 13 box set on my old band, and I said, okay, well, how would you like a Wednesday 13 album? They said, okay, and they offered me a contract, and then I presented it to Roadrunner because they legally had my name, and when I presented them that contract, they said, oh, somebody else wants you. Well, now we'll take it, and that's how I got my first record deal. Is because someone else wanted me, and they didn't want to give it up.
That's so weird.
Which they originally told me no.
Yeah.
But I'm not bagging on Roadrunner. I love it that they took my first album because I was where I wanted to go anyway. So I basically just got my way. I just had to have someone else show some interest. So it's been a crazy story. I'm gonna write a book one day and tell stories like this because it literally is filled with craziness like this all around the world, and most of my heroes are littered into it. Everyone from who I mentioned today to people that I haven't mentioned, and Typo Negative, and newer bands, Lamb of God, Papa Roach, just everybody I've partied with and toured with, Iron Maiden, Typo Negative. So many stories that are just insane.
Who's the craziest band to party with? Like, I mean, obviously, maybe Motley Crue back in the day, but you know, you didn't party with them in the '80s. So, like, during your era, who was the craziest band?
My band.
Really?
100%. 100%. My band in different eras. My band, when we had the 4-piece lineup of Racy on drums, Eric, and our bassist Nate, was the absolute madness level. Motley Crue, the Dirt times 10.
Damn.
And Murderdolls, the first album, rivaled that too. We were the craziest. And then we hung out with other bands. Now, my favorite band to ever party with was Typo Negative. That was my favorite because we were all Kiss fans. And after the show, they would just have a Kiss party and just play Kiss music. And we just had an endless supply of alcohol and just screaming Kiss at the top of our lungs. And it was awesome. It was hanging with my friends and one of my favorite bands and listen to one of my favorite bands.
Wow. Yeah, that does sound like a lot. That's live the life. I can't wait to read this book if it ever comes.
I need to do one. I need to.
And then they can make it into a movie.
Yes. Yes.
Who would you want to play you in the movie?
Oh man, I don't know. Ladies like Johnny Depp. Let's get him lined up before he's still holding his age well too. So I don't know. I really have ever. That's a really good question. I don't know who would play me in a movie. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, make it like a mini series though. That's what I've noticed. Like with the Dirt, it was nice, but I was like, they really should have had this be like 8 episodes. Like I want to see the whole thing, like from like
the book. The book is great.
Yeah, the book is amazing.
I love the book, not so much the movie.
Yeah, have you read have you read Gary Holt's book? That one's really good too.
I haven't. I need to check out some of these books. I saw that he had released something recently, and it looks cool.
Yeah, it's almost in some ways crazier than the Dirt. Like some of the stuff and his thing was like, because he was in Exodus, and then that band kind of like fell apart, and then he was like working like construction or roofing or something, and
Yeah.
he was like way down and out, and then he's in Slayer. So it's like such a crazy comeback story. It's amazing.
This business is littered with stories like that. I mean, it's crazy. That's what I just said. No one ever is down and out in the game. You might have periods in your career that are maybe low. I've got them in mind, but like I was talking to someone the other day about Wendy O. Williams of the Plasmatics, and how tragic that she took her own life. But what if she was here right now? She'd be idolized, I feel like.
Yes.
And
especially by women, you know, that's like,
and that sucks. That sucks. And then, and a total opposite thing, Milli Vanilli, that guy that killed himself, the other guy.
Yeah.
The other guy in Milli Vanilli plays concerts now with a full band behind him, and it sounds awesome. But 90% of the music industry is doing what Milli Vanilli did then.
That's what I know, because I had Young MC, who's a rapper, and he opened for Milli Vanilli, and he told me, he goes, dude, like every band was doing that back in the day. They're just the ones that got caught.
Yes, and it's insane to know that guy took his life of something that now is not the same, you know. So it's just crazy how life works. So I tell people all the time that they get depressed, because I'm a victim of doing that stuff too. Is it's like it's you know, you're having a bad day. You don't have to have a bad life. You know, don't let it ruin your day. And yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that's the irony to me, though, is like, you know, you talk about back to your song, like, when the devil commands, like, you know, it's like 666 and all this, like, but to me, when I was a kid, heavy metal, it was weird. It like got out my emotions, like the rage and stuff. And like,
Yeah,
I went to church. I tried that. I was like, oh, let me try church and Jesus. And it just wasn't for me. I'm not saying that it's not for other people, but you know, heavy metal saved me more. And I'm sure that a lot of kids have told you stories that your music saved them.
it's every day. I do my VIPs every day, and they're packed, and it's teenagers and older fans that started listening back when the first record came out. I mean, it's a mix. I can't say it's just those type of, but it's a mix of just people just going, look. I mean, every day, like people almost break down and cry, and most of them do cry. Will say that your music got them through. They wouldn't be here without my music, and that's. I used to giggle back in the day when I first hear it, because I think about my songs like Rambo and silly stuff like that. But they're just speaking like in a whole, that I provide a escape for them with what I do, and that's a very cool thing. You know, I didn't think about that stuff when I first started doing this. I just wanted to make music that was cool and people would like. I didn't think about changing people's lives or becoming a soundtrack for people's lives.
Oh no, that's totally true. I totally understand that. Not from, I don't know what it's like from your perspective because I can't make music, but as a fan, I totally understand that. Like when I was a kid, Guns N' Roses, Skid Row. I mean, it was just like those are kind of my friends, like in a lot of ways.
They are your friends, and you
Yeah.
go back and you just like on what they say on that movie, Almost Famous. Put your When you're by yourself, go to your record player, put this on, listen to your friends. And every night, I have a playlist called Hair Scare on my Spotify, and it's all of my stuff from Skid Row to Bang Tango to Wasp to Twisted Sister, Alice Cooper, every Motley Crue, all that stuff. And that's what I listen to. And you know, and to go back on this album, you know, a year or so ago, when before I started writing this, I was listening to that same playlist, and our bass player Troy said Wednesday, what's our new album going to sound like? And I said, like this playlist. Boom, here we are, a year and a half later, and there's my playlist.
No, I love it. I agree too. I do think that a lot of the songs sound like that. The one that I was curious about, um, Decapitation, it almost
Yes,
sounds like a 60s like doo-wop. Like you're
yeah,
covering a 60s doo-wop song with obviously with metal lyrics and and a metal sound to it, but there's this backing thing to it that's like a almost like a pop
yeah.
chorus. I love it. It's a great song.
It went Beach Boys real quick.
Yeah.
You know, it just, again, it was a silly song in the beginning, and when it got to that part, it got even sillier. And it was, you know, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And that song was just an excess song. So I'm like, it's a silly song. It's catchy. And that part was a really cool surprise, just how well it worked. And yeah, it's so far, it's a fan favorite. I knew it would be. And it was a song that I literally wrote in 5 minutes.
That is so crazy. Why are all the best songs? It's like maybe people overthink them too
I
much.
remember writing that song. I was watching a YouTube compilation. It said Decapitation compilation, and it was a bunch of people getting their heads cut off in famous movies. The main one was the decapitation scene in The Omen, and I had my acoustic guitar and I wrote that riff, dun, 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 and I went decapitation, and I ran in the house and I played it for my lady and said, "I listen to this," and she laughed and she said, "That sounds like a Wednesday 13 song."
That's
Boom.
amazing. That's amazing. I love it. So what do you have any songs that are complicated? What's the most complicated song that you've written?
I could go back. It'd be on other records, but nothing on this record was complicated. I don't make anything. If it gets complicated to me, I get frustrated and I get rid of it. It goes away. So anything that was complicated never made it. There's definitely some songs that have some layers and some different techniques and stuff, but I don't know if there's anything that's too complex that I've done in my past.
All right. Cool. Well, the new album, is it when does it come out? I got to listen
It's
to
out.
it.
It's out.
Is it
It
out
came
now?
out. It's out. Yeah, it came out Friday. No Apologies came out Thursday, the day before, and yeah, it's out. Fans are loving it. It's still fresh. You know, it's still not even a week old, and the fans are they love it. It's the best reaction because I've had this record done since last year as far as the music goes, and just to get it out and to have everybody praise it, like it's almost too good, the praise that we're getting from it. So I knew I delivered a good record, but I was right. They loved it.
Yeah, I think it's the best thing that you've, for me, like this is like right up my alley. Like it does sound like that. Your influences, the what'd you call it? Hair Scare playlist? That's
Yeah, I just called it Hair Scare because I'm
Is
always
that public? Can I listen to that? Oh, it sounds amazing.
no. I think it's just something I've just been adding songs to, and it literally is, like I said, it's all those bands I mentioned. It's everything, and from the popular ones, from like Wasp, to the more obscure bands like Vane and Bang Tango and Tough, and those bands. So yeah, it's just what I listen to, and I listen to it before every show, and I used to listen to it after the shows too. It's just sort of my that's where I go back to. It's my happy place.
Yeah, no, I love those kind of bands. I love like Dangerous Toys. That's one of my favorite. I think that band's
No.
so underrated. I think
Oh yeah. Are you wearing a Dangerous Toys shirt today?
no,
Our bass player usually has a Dangerous Toys shirt on.
really.
He's have it on today. He's San
I
Antonio,
have
and
a yeah, I have a
that's his
T-shirt
band,
and a
man.
sweatshirt.
Yeah, another band that's a big influence on me. Jason, the front guy, is a friend of ours, and yeah, man, it's cool. I'm also friends with all my hair metal guys too. I've become friends with all these people.
That's super cool. Well, awesome. Well, people can get the new album now. They can buy a vinyl copy too. I've seen that it comes with like all these
Yeah.
little stickers and postcards and all these little gadgets.
Yeah, there's a couple of variations. I think that deluxe version is sold out, but there is another version. There's a new color version that just came out recently. So there's different formats. Check it out. Napalm Records, officialwednesday13.com to get all the info and links to all that stuff. And that's it, man.
Okay.
It's out, and I'm excited for people to hear it.
Yeah, and we'll catch you on tour. You still got some shows left in the tour. That's
Four more shows left. Yeah, and then we're home for a bit, and then we go out on the UK European trek of this.
Okay, nice. I'll tell my buddy to catch you, and maybe he can have you on his podcast too and promote those shows.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much. I'll see you Wednesday. Thank you.
All right, dude. Later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
From the rockers to the wise men,